I wanted to help people. I didn't care who they were. I just wanted to help people. The more I help people, the better I felt. The more it just made me happy. And, it's funny. That's one thing I would say. People tell me that I am a pit bull, but they also will say that I'm very passionate in what I do.
Welcome back to another episode of Attractive Mindset. And today's guest, she is an absolute force, dominating, alluring. The personality, the presence, everything that you do and see when you meet her is just memorable. And the first time I met her, she just spoke and got the entire room quiet in a very, very good way. And so we have her here today, and she is an expert in her field. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more. Miss Samantha.
Hey guys, it's Samantha Ramnarayan from Car Accident Referral Services. All of your car accident, slip and fall, and workers' comp needs. What makes it so different? Well, not only is the customer service better and the experienced attorneys that we have, but our network of attorneys will put more money into your pockets. How much more? Up to 15% more money into your pockets. All the other attorneys in the entire state of Florida will take 33 and 1/3% from your settlement. If they take your case to court, they will take 40% from your settlement. Our attorneys in our network will take 25%. That's right, 25% up to a $1 million settlement. Regardless if they take your case to court or not, our attorneys will take 25%, putting more money into your pockets. Because at the end of the day, it is all about you, the clients, not the attorneys and not the doctors.
I don't know about y'all, but I felt a little scared when she said that. She had that memorized and ready. Miss Samantha, amazing. Glad to have you here. And so, this is clearly your passion because you just threw out a lot of percents off top. And I don't even know about this category as much. And so I'm definitely interested to having this conversation with you. And so, how did you even scale into the business that is car accident referral services?
I was 16 years old. My parents are Caribbean. So they were like, if you want the $100 pair of sneakers, you go and work for it. So I went to work for 8 chiropractors at the age of 16. I went to high school and then I worked Monday through Friday from 1 to 8. And most of the attorneys and doctors that I've known so far, I've known for over 20 plus years since I was a teenager. I decided to open this up because there was a police officer 20 years ago that got into a car accident and lost a body part. And a very big law firm in Miami walked away with 40% from his settlement. By the time everything was paid, his surgeries, everything, he walked away with 19%. And I don't think that's fair, especially when you lose a body part and you're in law enforcement. I think that's just crazy. And that's when I started doing cars.
Wow. So exactly what is it that you do? What is the process that someone has to go through in order to work with you?
So right at the accident scene, the slip and fall scene, the workers' comp, wherever you get hurt or injured, I want you guys calling 911, and then I want you guys calling cars right after. We then give you an attorney and a doctor that's in our network. The reason why everyone is in our network, so at the end of their case, everyone will negotiate or write off their bills. So every single MRI company, pain management, orthopedic, neurologist, every single person is in our network. So all I have to do is make a phone call to the owner and said, hey, I need this to be written off. Hey, I need you to negotiate your bills, because that is what it's about. It's about walking away with the most money, and the patient slash client should be walking away with the most money, not the attorneys, not the doctors, but it should be the client, because at the end of the day, the client is the one that got hurt, lost a body part, lost a family member, lost his or her car, and the patient. See, we're getting away and where it's focusing more about the attorneys and the doctors, and it should be about the patient. So many people tell me that if it wasn't for billboards, or if it wasn't for TV, or if it wasn't for bus benches, they would never know what their attorney looks like because they've never seen their attorney. And to me, most people want to be treated like family. They don't want to be treated like a number. And that is how car accident referral services. We're very grassroots. We meet every single client in person. We make sure that we talk. Like, I am amazed when people are like, is this Samantha, the one that I hear on the radio? I'm like, yeah, because they're expecting to hear my secretary, my reception, my call center. They have no clue that they're actually speaking to Samantha Ramnarayan. And when they find that out, they were like, wow, I love listening to you on the radio. You're so passionate in what you do. And thank you so much for helping our community. I have people that will just call and say, hey, I'm saving your number because you're right. I'm listening to you on the radio. And so many facts. No attorney in the past 20 years have put anything on billboard saying, hey, I take 33 and 1/3 or 40%. They never will. because they don't want people to know what they're charging. The biggest complaint I get from clients is number one, they never see their attorney. And number two, all they say is sign here, there, and there. And half of these patients don't even have a copy of the contract that they're signing.
Mm, okay. And so you did mention the billboards and the ads and everything like that. And so, in today's age of 2023, do you still think those billboards and everything are like super effective?
I would say yes, because I'll tell you why. I had, and I won't say the attorney's name, but there's been 13 billboards with this particular. It's a very, very big law firm. I just got another text message this morning where somebody's going around and the billboard says for the people. And what they did is they scratched out for the people and they put chase the people. And then on the attorney's face, they drew a very, very nice ambulance. And I
Mm,
couldn't believe how many text messages I got. And then I was driving on Thursday of last week on 95 and Oakland Park. And one of the billboards was right there.
wow.
Somebody is going around defacing this particular law firm and they're calling them ambulance chasers and they're drawing ambulance on their face and everything. So I will say they are working because for somebody to go around and deface over 10 plus billboards with this law firm, yes, they are working.
Mm, okay. And so, once people do come to you, do they have to pay like an upfront to work with you or the attorney or anything, or is it all on the settlement back end?
Car accident referral services does not charge anything. We do not take anything from the attorneys or anything from the attorney settlement or the patient settlement. The only person that's taking money from the settlement is our attorney, and he is taking or she's taking 25%. Our services are completely, completely free. We do not take anything. There is no hidden fees. There's no nothing. The best part of cars is that if you call us first, it's 25%. If you call the attorney on your own, it's 33 and a third and 40%. That's why I tell people to call us first because we have over 100 plus attorneys in our network and they don't know which attorneys in our network. So you could like a particular attorney and he or she could be in our network. And if you call us first, it's 25%. It's happened several times. I've even had clients where they got into a second or third accident, and instead of calling us, they called the attorney or doctor first. And then they got screwed because the second time around, the attorney took a third from their settlement
Oh,
because
wow.
they thought because that they went there first that it's okay. That's why I tell people if you get into a second, third, fourth accident, call us all the time because that attorney will not honor it and he or she doesn't have to by the Florida bar. The Florida bar states that if you call cars first, it's 25%. And see, people think that because they went to that attorney first, or let's say you got a family member or you got somebody else in a car accident and you switch them to that attorney doesn't have to do 25% unless we call them. And
Mm,
that's where a lot of people don't understand. You have to call us first because that is part of the Florida bar rule that you have to call cars first and then cars will call the attorney and then it's 25%. So that's why I tell people don't always call your attorney first because that's not always a good thing. Some people may not honor the 25%. We've had a couple of attorneys that we had to kick out because they did not honor the 25% when the patient got into a second accident or when the patient referred a family or friend. I don't want those attorneys in my network. If you're not going to honor the
mm,
25%, I can always make money. I have no problem losing money. But if you're not going to honor the 25%, especially when I do over 100 talk shows a week on radio and that's all I talk about, no. If you're going to try to screw my patient, I don't want you in my network.
100 talk shows on radio. So just talk a little bit about that.
So I do 100 plus talk shows a week on 9 stations,
Mm,
Creole, Portuguese, Spanish. I do have translators. And I just want every single person out there, especially in our Caribbean community, to know that we can help you. So many people take advantage of our Caribbean community, especially the ones that do not speak English. And
mm,
all they do is say sign here, there, and there. 3 weeks later, when they hear me on the radio, they'll call me and they'll say, hey, Sam, I heard you on the radio, or my neighbor heard you on the radio. I want to call. And then I'll say, hey, the attorney you chose, what's their name? Half of them don't even know. Half
wow.
of them don't even have a copy of their contract. I'm like, listen, you got to call them to get a copy of their contract so my attorneys now can fire them. Half of them are like, I never even got a copy of our contracts. The way cars work is every single patient, once they sign on DocuSign on their cell phone, a copy of their contract automatically goes into the email.
Mm,
So they have our contracts already because I want people to make sure that they keep every single thing, especially legal documents. Doesn't matter if it's cars or another attorney, make sure you're keeping every single legal document that you put your name to. So many people have no clue. They never receive their contract. They don't even know if the attorney's taking a third, 40%. They have no clue. I want people to know this. That's why I'm so glad that I do so many radio shows, because people, like, the love people have given me in the past 10 years has been amazing. People are like, Samantha, you're teaching us, you're telling us things that we didn't even know. So many people would call me and be like, listen, I just love listening to you. I love that you're so blunt. I love that you're so passionate. People on the radio call me the pit bull. And I'm okay with that. I take that name as, as pride, because people want honesty. People don't want to be sugarcoated. People don't want to be like, well, this and that. Like when people ask me, well, how do you think my case looks? I'm like, listen, your car accident was yesterday. If anybody tells you that you have a great case and your car accident is yesterday, they're lying to you. You have to find out what the other side's insurance is. You have to find out what your MRI looks like. You have to find the doctor's notes. You can't just answer that question. If somebody answers that question, you're lying to that patient, because their MRI could be negative completely. The insurance can be a 10-20 policy. How is that good? People want a 50 to 100, 100 to 300. People want big, big policies so they can make money because they're hurt. They lost their car. They lost a family member. So that's why I tell people, don't listen to people that tell you, oh, you have a great case and your car accident only happened within a week. How do they know? They
Yeah.
haven't even contacted the insurance company. They haven't contacted the adjuster. You haven't done any medical treatment. How can you tell me that I have a good case without any doctor or anyone seeing me? You
Mm.
can't. But people just want to know what they want to know, and they want to hear what they want to hear. And these attorneys is telling these patients what they want to hear. And I'm telling these patients, do not listen to every single thing, because unless you have proof that they already called the insurance company, they already know what the insurance limits are. They have no clue.
Mm.
Within a week, you would never find that out. It usually takes a couple of weeks before they find all that stuff out.
Feels like an episode of Suits. And so do they, is that legal? Do they have to tell them? Like, I guess it's not really lying. They're just not saying the entire truths of it.
But you want somebody that's going to be truthful to you. So like the
Absolutely.
newest thing I'll tell you, which is terrible. So the newest thing is that attorneys have runners and they're buying police reports illegally. And what they're doing is they're calling clients and they're saying, oh, State Farm told me to call you. Progressive told me to call you. Allstate told me to call you. And patients are believing it because when you're buying a person's police report, it has their name, address, phone number, their policy number, everything. So these attorneys now are telling these patients that their insurance company, no insurance company, none, is going to tell an attorney to call a patient. And what these attorneys are doing is illegal and wrong. And it's happened so much last year and it's happening so much this year. And that's why I tell these people on the radio, listen, do me a favor, get the name and phone number of the attorney and tell them, listen, I'm going to call the insurance company and I'll call you back at the number in back of my insurance company card. Watch how quickly they hang up. You wouldn't believe how many people call me and say, Samantha, they hung up very quickly.
Wow.
Because they know what they're doing is wrong. No insurance company, State Farm, Geico, Allstate, Progressive, United Auto, Ocean Harbor, none of them will ever tell an attorney to call a patient because the insurance companies do not want to pay. So why would an insurance company give you an attorney? They will never do that. But these attorneys are finding loopholes and illegal ways. I had a client come in my office last Wednesday and he brought a friend. And he was a passenger in a car. We already had signed up the driver. And the driver kind of warned me that, he's money hungry. So I said, okay, I'll listen to what he says because he wants to meet me in person. And out of respect, I'm going to let him meet me. So he comes in. He didn't tell me he was bringing a friend. His friend comes in, sits in my office, asked me for a notepad and a pen, gave him a notepad and a pen. He's writing now for 2 minutes. He writes me this long note. I read this note. The note literally says, okay, how much are you going to pay me if I give you this client to treat and to give to your attorney? I ripped up the note in front of him. I said, we do not do that here. We do not. I said, what you're doing is illegal and wrong. He was like, let me tell you something. I run the streets. I own the streets. I've been doing this over 19 years. I said, I'm okay with that. I said, you have no clue who has a wire, who has a camera, who's wearing anything. I said, you can go to jail for that. I said, I'm telling you, God made you meet me today because I'm telling you, don't do this anymore. It's not worth it. And he just kept telling me that he runs the street, he owns the streets. And I'm like, that's fine. And then he walked out of my office. The client stayed there. And I was like, listen, if you don't want to come to cars, it's okay. He was like, no, I want to come because I sat there and showed him, listen, if you get $1,000 illegally to treat, that attorney and doctor is going to send you to a 40% attorney. Do you know what 40% is? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I'll go with you. Yesterday, the doctor's office called me and the doctor was like, hey, the patient canceled his appointment. So I already know that he found somebody that's going to pay him. What people don't understand is, number one, you can go to jail. Number two, the $1,000 or the $1,500 that doctors or whoever's going to give you to treat, that attorney is going to take so much more money out of you. 1,000, 1,500 is not going to break you. The 25% would put 5,000 more in your pocket, 10,000 more in your pocket. And people don't realize that. They want fast money easily. And I tell them, you have no idea who's wearing a wire. If you look at the newspaper and you Google like car insurance fraud, I have attorneys that send me clippings of articles of attorneys and doctors and runners getting into trouble every single week and getting arrested.
Wow.
And that's why I tell people it's not worth it.
I didn't know this would be this intense. It feels like an episode of like Empire or Power or something. It's like you got to wear a wire and car accident
Yeah, people do.
business. That's crazy.
Well, you have to remember when an attorney or doctor gets arrested, a lot of them will flip. So what they'll do is they'll wear a wire or a camera and they will, flip on other people because they want
Wow.
people that actually has a license. So they're trying to get a lot of people in trouble. If you look at the other law firms, some of them were like letters and then the last part of their name, now it's group. A lot of those attorneys got arrested. A lot of the big
Wow.
law firms, when you see that they're no longer a partner in there and you Google that partner's name, a lot of them got arrested. In the past 7 years, there must have been over 40 attorney arrests in South Florida alone for patient brokering and doing illegal marketing.
Wow. And so do you have like a nice jingle? Like I don't even know if he's related to car accident referrals, but JG Wetworth, 877 cash now.
They do funding is what they do.
Ah, okay,
So I
okay.
don't always agree to funding. I do have a funding company that I use, but she is the lowest. When I tell you the insurance, the rate is the lowest. Like all these other big firms, they want 10%, they want 15%. And like let's say your case is selling for 500,000 and you borrowed 50 grand. People don't realize 10% of 50 grand, when they get their settlement, they're like, "Well, why am I losing 180 grand?" Well,
Mm.
you're paying interest on the money you borrowed. So I don't normally do not encourage, funding. And if I do, I use a company that I really, really like, and she's one of the lowest interest rates out there. So yeah,
Okay, okay. And so what happens in the scenario of somebody getting into a car accident that does qualify for, everything that you can do for them, but the other person like there's like a hit and run.
we can still help them because a lot of people, if they have uninsured motorists or bodily injury, we've helped a lot of hit and runs. And what it is that you go through your own insurance, and people have no problem with that. I
Mm.
tell people, listen, you're paying so much money. This is one of the biggest years for people paying so much money towards car insurance. And I'm like, listen, why do we pay insurance every single month? It's to use it.
Mm.
People are like, well, is my insurance going to go up? No. As long as you are not the fault of the accident, your insurance will not go up. I
Mm.
personally haven't been in a car accident in over 17 years. My insurance goes up every single year. When I ask them why, they say cost of living. So like last year, my insurance went up 219. Haven't been in a car accident for 15 plus years,
Wow.
but my insurance went up $200 plus. Usually when you're at fault in the accident, your insurance will go up probably between 3 to 700. So yeah, but if you're not at fault of the accident, even if it's a hit and run, your insurance will not go up. Your insurance will go up for cost of living, a couple hundred, but no.
Hmm. Okay. I've always thought car insurance was, and I still do to a point, it's kind of a scam. It's kind of a scam because, we have these monthly payments that are like extremely high, and then we can't dictate like cost of living exactly, and especially in an area like South Florida. And so, what happens if somebody gets into a crazy car accident and they don't have insurance?
Then you have to go through your own insurance. And if you don't have insurance, then you're out of luck. And that's what's happening a lot. What's happening a lot is that, let's say you and I got into a car accident and it wasn't your fault, it was my fault. You don't have uninsured motorists, you don't have bodily injury, and you don't have rental insurance. I just went through this with a couple cases and they were fuming,
Mm.
fuming. Problem is the person that hit him did not have any insurance. He did not have any insurance. You're responsible for paying for your car. He had
Mhm.
a brand new 2023 car, over $16,000 worth of damages,
Wow.
and he had to pay that on a credit card because you didn't have insurance and the person that hit him didn't have nobody had insurance.
Wow.
So that's why I tell people, even if it's a rent a car, get $30 a day. Get 30, it doesn't have to be $50, $60 a day. But even if it's just a simple car just for you to get around for 30 days, just get $30 a day. So many people forget to even take out rent a car insurance.
Mm.
And that's why I tell people, protect yourself. Forget about the person that hit you because he or she may not have insurance. Even bodily injury and uninsured motorists, I don't care if you get the lowest one, which is a 1020 policy. I'd rather you have something than nothing because to take 10,000 out of your pocket, to take $13,000 out of your pocket, that's a lot of money. And that's why I tell people, you pay for insurance, use it. So many people are like, well, but what if they drop me, or what if they raise? You paying for it.
Mm.
Like, do you really want to go out of pocket? And that's where the problem is. So many people in state of Florida, especially South Florida, does not carry insurance. So many people that are from different countries, like even like the Canadians that live here half the year, a lot of their insurance is from Canada.
Mm.
And to fight that Canadian insurance is very, very hard. That's why I tell people, if you are dual countries, make sure when you come to Florida, you take out a policy, because that person can then sue you. Even if you live in Canada, that person can sue you. So that's why I tell people, try to get a policy that's in Florida. Take out
Mm.
the lowest one. Take out $30 for rental. Take out the 1020 policy for uninsured motorists and bodily injury, because people are buying cars left and right, but not being insured.
And you can do this anywhere in the United States.
Yes.
Okay. And so, what is there ever a rare scenario where it's like the car's fault, if that makes sense? And so an airbag pops, or, something actually happens with the car and somebody gets injured. Do you still cover that in that sense?
We would have to take it to the manufacturer and see if there is anything, in other words, if there's anything for them to come back to. So let's
Mm.
say like the airbag doesn't work and there's a recall, then they will win their case.
Mm.
If there's no recall, then no. But we will take the car to the manufacturer and let them look at it. And if there's a recall, then yes. Because I've had clients, well, my brakes failed. Well, that's because you didn't take care of your brakes.
Mm.
So that's not the manufacturer fault. It's where you needed brake pads. And when you tried to brake, your brake failed and you slammed into the person.
And what about if they go to like just the mechanic shop down the street or something like that, and they don't do a proper fix, and something
Then you
happens?
can sue the mechanic. Yes, absolutely. As long as you keep your paperwork, I tell people, keep your paperwork. People just kind of pay the mechanic and then, throw the paperwork away.
Mm.
No. Always keep whatever you do on your car, always keep a folder with all that information, because normally there's a year or two warranty. And if something goes wrong, that mechanic is at fault for that. But we've sued mechanics, we've sued, insurances, we've done the lemon law.
Mm.
So it all depends.
What's the lemon law?
Lemon law is, for example, we just have one now. It's a Mercedes. The engine broke 3 times in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
So if the same part breaks within 3 times in the same year, that's a lemon law.
Mm. Okay, okay. Now I learned a lot about just car and the attorney, thug life world. So okay, cool. So, you know, did you always just want to get into this? Because you sound really passionate about this, and helping people in that type of way can only be driven by a certain level of passion, especially when you market things like, we have the lowest percentage, we only work with this, I don't want you in my network if you're doing this. And so where does that come from for you?
I would say my parents have always told me that if you're going to do something, either give it your all or don't do it at all.
Mm.
And, I barely graduated high school. School books were never my thing. I'm a college dropout and I was just a hustler. I wanted to help people. I
Mm.
didn't care who they were. I just wanted to help people. The more I help people, the better I felt, the more it just made me happy. And, it's funny. That's one thing I would say. People tell me that I am a pit bull, but they also will say that I'm very passionate in what I do. When you love what you do, it will never feel like work.
Mm.
And every day for me is different. I get to meet so many clients, so many people, and I get to listen to them. People just want to be listened to and talked to. People don't want to be talked down to. People just want to be heard. And the problem is when you go to these big law firms, they don't hear you. It's just like, well, sign, sign, sign here. I had a client last week, and she was one that actually stuck out, and I really respect her. She was with a very big law firm for 3 weeks. She went there because of her coworker, and her dad told her to call me. Within 10 minutes, I knew that she was a foster child because I do a lot of volunteering at the same place where she was. She remembered me because I actually would go and buy dinner for the homes where she lived at, and it was SOS Children Villages. She remembered me, and she works for ChildNet. I do a lot of charity work with ChildNet. She was like, her law firm that she had didn't even know that she was a foster child, didn't even know she worked for ChildNet. I don't really focus on just the car accident. I focus on getting to know the person because I was like, hey, where do you work? Do you want to treat at the doctor's office where you work, or do you want to treat at the doctor's office where you live? You try to get to know people. Here's somebody that I've known since she lived in the foster care system, but she grew up and then we lost touch because after you turn 18, you leave the foster system. And now her dad told her to call me because he heard me on the radio. So, which is kind of nice. But
Mm.
I think, just getting to know people, getting to know their story, getting to know their lives, just taking an interest with them. I love that. I love, I used to think that men would flirt with me because they would come in my office and they were like, Samantha, when you come on the radio, you would just like make me stop doing every single thing. And I used to think it was a man thing. They were just flirting. And then I had women come into my office and they would be like, Samantha, on a Saturday afternoon, I would put my pot on, you burn up my chicken curry because when you talk, I just want to listen to you. 20 minutes later, you burn up my pot. I'm like, that's not my fault. But it's just nice to know that people are listening. People want to hear the truth. People don't want to be sugarcoated. And I guess that's just my personality. It's either what you see is what you get. I'm
Mm.
very blunt, I'm very honest, and I don't have a filter. And people love that. People love the bluntness. Too many law firms out there, too many doctors just want to tell the patients what they want to hear. The patients want to be helped. The patients want to know the truth. To me, don't lie to the patient. If there's no insurance on the other side, so many attorneys will wait 6 months so the chiropractor can milk the PIP
Mm.
and then will fire the patient. I don't
Mm.
do that. I tell my attorneys, if you find out within a month, 2 months, 3 months, they have no case, tell them. Don't let the patient treat for 6 months because they're going to get mad.
Yeah.
I rather you tell them up front. So many of these big law firms will just sit there and hold the patient until the chiro gets all 10,000 and then they'll send a letter out to
Wow.
the patient. And I think that's wrong. I really do.
And so I know you're only 30 years old, but having a lot of experience, doing the thing that you do you find yourself in what I would assume is a male dominated industry? Is that a battle for you having such a strong personality?
I think I am the way I am because when I started this, 97% were men.
Mm.
3% still till this day is women. So, and especially being a brown skin, immigrant and a woman was really, really hard. Men really didn't respect you back then. I was a teenager. These were men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, that held a license. And here's a girl that owns a attorney and medical referral service, not even an attorney, and she's becoming successful. So I would say that my strong pit bull personality comes from that
Mm.
because you have to find your place in this world. You have to show them that regardless, you're not an attorney or a doctor, but you can still do right by the people. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You just have to have compassion and you just have to listen to people. I think I'm successful because people like that I'm blunt. People like that I listen to them. People like that I'm not lying to them. I'm not sugarcoating. I'm telling them the truth. I'm
Mm.
not telling them what they want to hear. So I would definitely say it's a very man dominant area, but to me, I kind of proved that wrong after 20 years that women can do anything men can. And especially where I came from, being a woman of color and an immigrant, college dropout, I encourage anybody to follow their dream. It does not matter if you graduated high school, graduated college. Most people thought that I would be selling drugs. Most people thought that I'd be knocked up and pregnant, or most people thought I'd be in jail.
Mm.
I proved them wrong. And to me, that's where my motto is. I don't get even, I get more successful.
Mm. Okay, okay. And so, what if you weren't doing this, what do you feel like you would be doing?
Charity. My three top charities right now is against human sex trafficking, against anti-bullying, and foster kids.
Okay, okay. And so with the charity work, do you feel like do you teach them at all what you do, or do you have any like mentorship programs to teach other people what you do? Or are you that passionate about it?
I mentor about 10 people a year.
Okay.
If they ask, I mentor them. I talk about everything and anything. I've talked so far to 37 high schools.
Mm.
A lot of people, when they hear my story of barely graduating high school and, college dropout, they want people to know my story. They want people of color, regardless if they're a boy or girl. They want people to know that if I can do it, they can too. I love going to, like, I went to Board Anderson, I went to Dillard. I do a lot with junior achievers. They let me come and talk to their students. And you should see how many people, like these kids, they want to hear you speak. It's funny when the president says to me, Samantha, we only wanted you to stay for an hour. I can't believe you stayed 3 hours because the kids had so many questions. They're like, most speakers, are done within 30 minutes and the kids have no questions. I try to relate to the kids because I was a junior, I was a senior. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to read a book. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to do any of that. And a lot of them, they want to go to technical school. They want to open up a business. They want to do this. College is not for everyone. There's a lot of successful people out there that are multimillionaires where they never went to college.
Mhm.
And that's why I was very surprised that they let me speak at these schools because I'm like, listen, I'm a college dropout, barely graduated high school. So I'm not going to push school. So I want people to know that they can go to college if they choose to, but they also can be successful just by hustling and doing the right thing. At one point in my life, I had 3 jobs for almost 2.5 years.
Mm.
And to me, if you have that kind of work ethic, you can do anything you want. Like, never let anybody tell you that you can't. I just think we need to support kids. We need to teach them the real world, like just writing a check. They don't even teach you that in school.
Mm.
Like finances, they don't teach you any of that. The stock market, they don't teach you any of that. To me, I learned more being on the streets and being working outside than I ever did in school.
Mm. And so, what would be 3 key pieces of advice that you would give young females going into a career position or even entrepreneurship?
The first one I would say is always dress for the part. Always dress for the part. The second thing I would say is that you can do anything. It doesn't matter if you're a female, you can do anything a man can do. And number three, never take no for an answer.
Mm.
Just keep going. If you asked half my attorneys right now, and I haven't had lunch with one of them for almost 3 hours yesterday, and I even said to him, I said, you told me no for over 6 months. Over 6 months, this man told me no. And they're a law firm that's been around over 49 years. And back in the 1990s, late 1990s, he kept telling me no, no, no. And I said to him, I was like, Paul, what made you finally say yes to me? He was like, Samantha, you were just so annoying. You wouldn't take no for an answer. You were just so annoying. I finally just said yes to you to shut you up. And I'm okay with that. I really am. But that's what I want people to know. Even though you get 100 no's, keep on doing it. Because when I spoke to that attorney yesterday, if I didn't keep going to him, he's one of my biggest clients right now, 20 years later.
Mm.
And I just wouldn't take no for an answer because I knew what my worth is. And people need to know, especially women of color, they need to know their worth. They need to know their worth. And to me, as long as you know your worth, always do it. And then one thing I always tell the young kids is don't do anything for money. I always say do it for the F word. And they always like the F word. They always like, what's the F word? I'm like, freedom. You can make so much money, okay? But you don't have the freedom to enjoy it.
Mm.
Everything I do it for the F word, which is freedom. Because I was in a job making a lot of money, but I went to work at 8 o'clock at night and I didn't get home till 9, 10, 11 o'clock some nights. I didn't get to enjoy myself.
Mm.
I was busy working and working and working. I changed that as of 2 years ago. And now I do everything because of my freedom. I want to be able to be anywhere in the world, do a podcast, do a radio show. This year we went to Ireland, Scotland. I did all of my 137 talk shows live from Ireland and Scotland every week. And people are like, wow. People are like, I can't believe she's doing videos there. When you love what you do, I don't care if you're on vacation, do a video. You don't always have to have makeup on or your hair done nicely. There's times where I would just get out of the gym or my personal trainer will just take a video of me and I post it. I don't care. I want people to see the good, the bad, the ugly, because this is who I am. And to me, as long as you love yourself, you can do anything, but you have to start by loving yourself.
Wow. Some profound advice, Samantha. Thank you so much. And so if somebody, wanted to utilize your services and work with you, where can they find you?
Sure. My cell phone number is 954-249-5858. My website is fl-injury.com. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at Car Accident Referral Services.
Absolutely amazing. And so, Samantha, thank you so much for coming on the show, just dropping knowledge that we just didn't even know about the car category and how cutthroat it kind of is, but just presenting that, humane aspect to it and just remaining a solid individual, definitely is what we have on the show is attractive mindset, having that attractive mindset to just give back to the community and to those around you. So thank you for everything that you do. And, everybody, if you like this episode, make sure you share, subscribe, tell a friend. If you have any accidents, definitely want to talk to Samantha about that. And we are out of here. We know the motto, as we always say, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back. Let's go.